Hi, my name is Barriga, and today I'm gonna talk to you, teacher, about my favorite movie, Shark Tale. Well, first I'm gonna talk about the characters that appear in the movie. We have the main character, which is Oscar. He is a fish, as everyone in the movie. Then we have Angie. Angie is secretly in love with Oscar, and Oscar doesn't know like half of the movie. And also we have Lola. Lola is a gold digger, and she gets in love with Oscar because Oscar. I cannot tell you right now, but well, we also have Lenny. Lenny is the son of Don Lino. Don Lino is like a big gangster shark, and he has two sons, Lenny and Frankie. Frankie is like the son that he's most proud of because Frankie is like a gangster shark, and Lenny it's vegetarian. He doesn't even eat another fishes. So Don Lino it's not so proud of him, and he's always like, you should try to eat fishes someday. Then we have Sykes, which is the boss of Oscar and Angie because both of them work at the same place, which is a whale wash place, like a car wash, but they wash whales instead of cars. And then we also have Ernie and Bernie, which is two jellyfishes that are like Sykes' bodyguards. First, we can start with Oscar. Oscar is a fish that he's kind of poor. He works as a tongue scraper in the whale wash. He wants to become famous and rich and live in a big penthouse on the sea, but he doesn't have the money to afford. So he always is dreaming about becoming that one person that he's not. He became a tongue scraper of whales because his dad was a tongue scraper, and he was like the best tongue scraper like for 10 years in a row. So he was so proud of his dad, and he was like, I want to be like my dad. But then he realized that his dad wasn't rich, and he cannot become rich just scraping uh, tongues of whales. Here we introduce to Angie, who is secretly and deeply in love with Oscar, but he never tells Oscar because she thinks that Oscar won't feel the same. She thinks that. And then Oscar goes with Sykes. Sykes is his boss. He goes there because of his two bodyguards, Ernie and Bernie, the jellyfishes. And then Sykes is in a big trouble. Sykes, the boss of Oscar, is in big trouble because he is in debt with Don Lino, the big gangster shark. And also Oscar is in debt with Sykes. So Sykes tells Oscar, basically, Oscar, the money that you owe me is the money that I own to Don Lino. So you are straight in debt with Don Lino. And if you don't pay me tomorrow, I'm gonna have to fire you. And Oscar, it's like, I mean, I don't have the money. What can I do? I mean, my work doesn't pay me enough to pay you this debt that I have with you. And then in this part, it's a really funny scene because Sykes starts explaining Oscar like the all the levels that are of power in the sea, and it's like Don Lino on top, and then is Sykes, and then is regular fishes, and then is the rocks, and then is the pool whale, and then at the bottom it's Oscar. And Oscar is like, that can be right. Here Angie comes to the rescue. He tells Oscar, you know what, Oscar, I'm gonna give you this big pearl that once my grandmother gave to me, and I was supposed to give to my grandson, but because Angie is so in love with Oscar, she decides to give it to him so he can sell it, and with the money he can repair the debt that he has now with Don Lino. And she gives the pearl to Oscar. Oscar sells it. Oscar has the money now, and he was supposed to give it to Sykes in a seahorse race. So Oscar goes to the seahorse race. He's like, I have to pay this to Sykes. Do not distract with anything else. And then he hears some fishes talking, and then one fish says to another, "Hey, have you heard?" And the other fish is like, "What?" And then he tells, the seahorse race, it's fixed. The number 7 seahorse is going to win the race. It's fixed. Everyone knows it. And Oscar sees the graphics, and he sees that if he bets the exactly amount of money that he has to number 7 seahorse, he's gonna win 1,000,000 oysters, which is the currency under the sea, I guess. Why not? He becomes crazy and pretty immature and unresponsible, and he decides to bet all the money on the number 7 seahorse. And then the cashier tells him like, oh my god, if you win you're gonna mail 1,000,000 oysters. Are you ready for that? And then here is where Lola enters. Lola hears the words a million oysters, and so she's like, oh, this dude is rich. If he's betting that amount of money, it's because he is rich. And in here, Lola becomes interested in Oscar only because she is a gold digger. She is not interested in Oscar feelings, just in his wallet. Then Oscar goes to Sykes, and Sykes is like, hey, where's my money? And Oscar tells him like, yeah, your money about that. Well, I bet it all on Seahorse number 7, but don't worry, the race is fixed. Seahorse, it's going to win. I mean, there is no doubt about it. So Sykes becomes happy. He's like, oh my god, so now I'm gonna have $1 million, a million oysters, sorry. And Oscar is like, yeah, right. I mean, we can split it like 50-50. So they agree. And then the seahorse race starts. The seahorse number 7 had some trouble to start the race, but he started fast. And then at the end of the race, he's winning. He's winning the race. And now Oscar and Sykes are pretty happy. They are like, oh my god, we're going to be rich. And what are we going to do with all this money, etc., etc. But out of nowhere, seahorse number 7 falls. He just stumbles and falls down. And here it's a really cool joke that I like about the movie, that Oscar says like, he is underwater and he stumbles. Who crabs tumbles underwater? And Sykes, of course, gets all mad because he doesn't have his money anymore and he is still in debt with Don Lino. Now Sykes tells Oscar like, you know what, Oscar? You're gonna die right now. I'm gonna kill you. Well, not him, but his 2 bodyguards, Ernie and Bernie, the jellyfishes. So they kidnap Oscar and they take him in the middle of the sea, out of nowhere, and they strap him around and they start to electrocute him. Sorry, because they are, well, jellyfishes. And here we're gonna pause the story of Oscar and we are gonna enter to Don Lino, Frankie, and Lenny's story. We're gonna have to meet them. Well, in this scene, Don Lino is eating shrimps, and he's sitting with Frankie and Lenny, his 2 sons. And Lenny doesn't want to eat any shrimps, and Don Lino is like, "What's wrong with you, Lenny? You are a shark. I mean, if you cannot even eat a shrimp, you are not gonna be like a shark at all." So he gives him like a shrimp, and it's like, "Eat it, Lenny. Eat it in front of me." And Lenny's like, no, 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 what if this shrimp has family? And what if this shrimp, it's like a lonely dad that take care of all his 10 children and all this stuff? And Don Lino is like, I don't care, Lenny, just eat it. But Lenny at the end lets the shrimp free through the window. And here Don Lino gets mad and he tells Frankie, you know what, Frankie? Take Lenny outside to the sea, to the open sea, and search for a fish. I want you to make Lenny eat a real fish alive. They are Lenny and Frankie searching for a fish here, around there, and that's when they see Oscar, who is all tangled up by the jellyfishes. But the jellyfishes, when they see the sharks, they just run away. They are like, holy shit! Like, sorry, they are like, I said a bad word. Sorry. They are like, oh my god, there are some sharks, so both of them just run away, sorry. And they just let Oscar alone in there, so they think like he's gonna die, the sharks are gonna eat him. And Frankie tells him, go and eat that fish. And Oscar sees Lenny coming, and Oscar is like, well, I'm gonna die eaten by a shark. And Lenny goes with Oscar and he's like, hey, friend, I don't wanna eat you, so let me help you out in here. I'm gonna pretend like I'm eating you and you are gonna run away and you just hide under a rock or something. So my brother thinks that I ate you. And Oscar doesn't understand a thing because he's so scared of the shark. And when Lenny goes back to Frankie, he tells him like, oh, I ate the fish, it was delicious. And Frankie looks behind Lenny and he sees Oscar just standing in there, and Frankie gets mad, like real angry. This moment, right when Frankie is going after Oscar to eat him, out of nowhere, an ankle falls down from the sea, from a boat, and falls down right on top of Frankie and kills Frankie. I mean, it leaves him like almost to die, about to die, but he doesn't die yet. And Oscar is like, oh my god, I'm so lucky. And there is another joke in that part, really funny also, where Frankie is like saying his last words to Lenny, his brother, and he tells Lenny, "Oh, Lenny, I feel so cold." And Lenny is like, "Yes, Frankie, we're sharks. We are cold-blooded. You're supposed to feel cold." And then he slaps Lenny like, "No, dumbass, I am dying." It's pretty funny, I think, for me at least. So Frankie dies, and Lenny is scared and runs away back home. And then the jellyfishes come back, and they only see Oscar on top of Frankie, the dead shark. And they tell him like, "What, Oscar? Did you just kill a shark?" And Oscar is like, "Yes, I just did it." And they were like, "What, Oscar? Did you really just took him out all by yourself?" And Oscar is like, "Yes, sure, I did it. Why?" And in that moment, it's when Oscar becomes famous, all renowned over the Recife. Everyone gets to know him, and he's on TV and he's on the news, and he becomes the Shark Slayer. But I'm gonna leave it in here so I don't spoil you the whole story. I want you, teacher, to watch it if you haven't already. If you haven't, that's pretty sad because it is really a great movie. What's gonna happen with Oscar is he's gonna pay the debt that he still has with Angie and now also with Sykes. What are the sharks going to do? How are they going to respond now that the son of the gangster leader Don Lino is dead and everyone thinks that Oscar kills him? What's gonna happen to Lenny? Is Lenny gonna just run away from his family or what? What's gonna happen to Lola? Is she's gonna still going after Oscar now that he's famous? Maybe yes. Yes, actually yes. Well, final comments about this movie. I really like it. I think that it's hilarious. It makes me laugh every time I watch it, and I think that I watch the movie like I watch that movie like 3 times per year at least. At least. Also, some really cool things about this movie is that the voices of the characters in this movie in English are pretty famous people like top level. We have Oscar is Will Smith, Sykes is the director Martin Scorsese. Then we have also Lenny, the son of Don Lino, is Jack Black, and then Don Lino it's Robert De Niro. Lola, the gold digger, is Angelina Jolie, and then big spoiler in the end of the movie, Christina Aguilera appears as a fish, of course, and it's pretty funny. So 100% recommended this movie. You should watch it at least 3 times per year, just like me. Thank you, teacher, and that was about it. And thank you for watching. I hope I get the chance to present this to in the class because I think that the presentation is pretty cool also, just like this video. Bye.